Join me on Nightmare Truth, where all the stories you are about to air are true.
Story 1. Grady Hendrix, an author, told of a terrifying moment in his life, which occurred when he was just 9 years old. After everybody had gone to bed, Grady would quietly sneak downstairs so he could raid the fridge. He realized nobody ever noticed any of the food disappearing, so he did this often, as many of us do. One night in the month of May, 1981, he crept down the stairs on the darkest of nights. It was pitch black. He stepped into the kitchen when he suddenly heard a fork clang gently on the counter. Grady froze with fear. The clock on the microwave shone bright enough to display the outline of a man sitting at the counter. The intruder couldn't see him. Grady could make out he was a skinny guy and he was eating some food and drinking the milk. Grady crept back upstairs and shook his parents awake. They ran downstairs to find nobody there. They thought Grady just had an overactive imagination. Grady began to note down where things were placed so he could see if they'd been moved after the darkness of night had fallen. The day after, he found napkins in a different place and a mug in a sink that was not there the night previous. Grady was petrified. He grabbed the biggest knife he could get hold of and kept it under his pillow at night. He could barely sleep and would spend many a restless night, constantly checking. The knife was there underneath his pillow. A few months went by when one night Grady lay on his bed reading. He had this eerie feeling somebody was watching him. He looked up to the air-conditioned vent above his bed and recoiled in horror as he saw a pair of eyes staring back at him. He ran screaming to his parents. They checked the attic. They checked the crawl space. But there was no creepy intruder lurking around. Was Grady going mad? During the last week of August of 1981, maggots fell through the vents onto Grady's bed. The vents were checked and the police were called after a dead man was discovered in the attic. There was ample space between the walls and dubbed sections. It seems a man had been living in the house for a few months. He'd made a pillow out of foam so he could be more comfortable as he watched through the vents. The man was never identified. He was buried as a John Doe. This kind of thing is more common than you may think. So the next time you hear a sound in your attic, are you sure it is a bird or a rat, and not somebody hiding in your house? Story 2. Yorkshire Inn, England, 1985. A house during the night was set ablaze. The fire destroyed pretty much everything apart from a painting of a crying boy. The picture was not charred or blackened in any way. A firefighter told the occupants Ron and May Hall that there had been several other fire-related incidents of a rather sinister nature, where paintings of the crying boys remained undamaged. The story reached the newspapers, who reported it and discovered many more people had been subjected to the curse of the crying boy painting. An unfortunate lady by the name of Dora Mann from Surrey, England, house totally burnt down to the ground with only her crying boy painting surviving totally intact. People became frightened as more and more cases of houses burning down with these cursed paintings emerged. Living on to stare at you forevermore became so frequent, it was of the utmost concern. The origin of the painting is attributed to an Italian painter by the name of Bruno Amadio, who painted these emotionally vulnerable crying children, which were then mass-produced and then sold all over the world. Maybe it was an attempt to stealthily spread the curse globally. There were tests done where people have attempted to destroy the painting by setting it on fire with no success. There was mass panic amongst the British public, who began to send hundreds upon hundreds of cursed paintings to media depots to be destroyed and to protect the frightened public. There are stories that tell of the young boys who appeared in the paintings were often homeless. Some were orphans. They would be used as models for the works of art when the paintings were being created. They children would afterwards be sent to an orphanage. The orphanage caught fire one night and all the children that were used in the paintings all perished, engulfed by the flames and burnt alive. The curse was lit. Do you have a painting of a cursed crying child on your wall? Is the crying boy looking at you, ready to start a fire?
Take it down! Get rid of it! Get rid of it!
Did you lock your door? Sleep tight.